Welcome everyone to episode 2 of the Marriage Material Podcast. This is a history project, a podcast where we pick a historical figure and we read their selections from their Wikipedia page and we decide whether or not they're marriage material. So what we do is we rank them on hotness, which is more like how thrilling the relationship is, how exciting it is. Then we do stability, how good of a spouse they would be, and then bonus points, which is whatever I want it to be, basically. Now, we were supposed to have Michael Madsen on for episode 2. We were supposed to do Cleopatra, and we did record something, but it was an absolute mess, completely my fault. We read the Wikipedia, it wound up just being all military strategies. Then we went to an article, it wound up being written by like a 12-year-old. And then we tried to do George W. Bush, and we just came off super pro-Bush. So we scrapped the idea. Luckily, I did manage to edit together a pretty solid 10 minutes of highlights from the episode. I'm going to do a little bonus episode, so check out the YouTube page and Spotify, and I'll have a bonus episode up there. But I wanted to keep the schedule. I wanted to stay on schedule, so I'm going to record. We're going to do a different episode for episode 2. This is going to be Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's what episode 2 is going to be. RBG. Recently deceased, so she is now officially a historical a historical figure. She just made the mark. So let's get into it. What do you say? Episode 2 of Marriage Material. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Here we go. Joan Ruth Bader. Her name's Joan. Ooh. I don't know. Joan just seems like saucy. Was born on March 15th, 1933 at Beth Moses Hospital in Brooklyn, New York City. The second daughter of Celia and Nathan Bader. I fucking love New York. Who lived in the Flatbush neighborhood. Her father was a Jewish immigrant from Odessa, Ukraine, at that time part of the Russian Empire. And her mother was born in New York to parents who came from Krakow, Poland. Krakow, Krakow, Krakow. Krakow, Krakow. It's like a sci-fi sound effect. Or like the onomatopoeia from Batman, Krakow. The Baders' elder daughter Marilyn died of meningitis at age 6 when Ruth was 14 months old. That's a real bummer. Okay, so she's no stranger to tragedy. She lost people early on, but that makes you a grounded wife, right? All right. The family called Joan Ruth Kiki, a nickname that Marilyn had given her for being a kicky baby. Ooh, she's feisty. It's a feisty baby. Kiki, that's fucking cute. When Kiki started school, Celia discovered that her daughter's class had several other girls named Joan, so Celia suggested the teacher call her daughter Ruth to avoid confusion. The origin story. Here we go. Where's the gritty reboot of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's life, where she just goes out at night and kicks the shit out of dudes? I'd watch that movie. I'd like to remind everyone that we have to be completely objective in this podcast. So the example I use is if we're talking about Hitler, all we're focusing on is how happy was Eva Braun. So I don't want to be sucking Ruth Bader Ginsburg's dick here. I want to be objective. So just keep that in mind. I know she's great, but that's not what the podcast is about. Although not devout, the Bader family belonged to East Midwood Jewish Center, a conservative synagogue, where Ruth learned the tenets of the Jewish faith and gained familiarity with the Hebrew language. Bader was not allowed to have a bat mitzvah ceremony because of Orthodox restrictions on women from reading the Torah, which upset her. God, I can just see this movie, right? Let's get on it. Also, I just gotta love a girl who stands up for herself, and it seems like that's kind of her shtick, That's her thing. I'm into it. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, so far, pretty damn hot. And I'm gonna wager a guess that she's pretty stable too. I just don't picture Ruth Bader Ginsburg having like a serious coke problem or something like that. I don't know that much about her, but I feel like I can check that off. We might have a ringer on our hands. She could be like the reigning champion. I'm putting money on it. She's gonna be the reigning champion. So I'm probably going to give her bonus points. Starting as a camper from the age of 4, Ruth attempted Camp Chenoweth, a Jewish summer program at Lake Balfour near Minerva, New York, where she was later a camp counselor until the age of 18. That's where she explored her bisexuality. I assume that's just what people do at camp, right? Uh, Bader, att- Bader attended Cornell University in Ithaca. Ooh, Cornell. She's a smart lady. She's a smart lady. Bader attended Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, and was a member of Alpha Epsilon Pi. Oh, a sorority chick. Okay, I'm into that. See, I was in a fraternity, and I always liked sorority girls. They were very... That's not true. I didn't like sorority girls. Okay. I liked, there was one sorority that was, pretty chill. They were lax on the restrictions. Sororities are just weird. Like, you're not allowed to drink in them. Boys can't go upstairs. There's like an energy field that keeps you from permeating. It's just fucking weird. And the fraternities are culty too, and they have the extra rapey vibe too. But anyway, she was a member of Phi Beta Kappa and the highest-ranking female student in her graduating class. Of course she was. She's a fucking boss. Here I am sucking her dick, like I said I wouldn't do. Well, how does that relate to? I bet she's very stable. She's an achiever. You know what though? Heavy achievers don't always have time for their spouses. That's a concern. Bader married Ginsburg. What? Okay, so Ruth Bader. I thought it was her middle name. Bader Ginsburg is it's a hyphenate. Of course, she had a hyphenated name. Like, I swear to God, strong, independent woman is like her shtick. Like, that's the tagline for her gritty reboot. Just one word, Ginsburg. No, it can't be just Ginsburg or Kiki. That's what it'll be. It'll be called Kiki. Perfect. Paramount, come at me. Let's do this. She and Martin moved to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where he was stationed as a Reserve Officers Training Corps officer in the United States Army Reserve after his call up to active duty. At age 21, she worked for the Social Security Administration office in Oklahoma, where she was demoted after becoming pregnant with her first child. I swear to God. Man, it's not like it's her shtick, it's like it's forced upon her. But we're talking hotness. This is a very significant person, but we have to just focus on hotness. So far, killing it in hotness. She seems like, well, I don't know. Because when someone's like safe, it makes them not so hot, you know? She's very capable. She's a capable, strong woman, which definitely gets her some points from me, but we'll see. I want her to have like a quick little coke phase, and then that would really up her chances in hotness. Because I think she's going to be killing it in stability, because I assume she was with Ginsburg her whole life. She gave birth to a daughter in 1955. Okay. In the fall of 1956, Ginsburg enrolled at Harvard Law School, where she was one of only 9 women in the class of about 500 men. They went on to base... Did you know that Legally Blonde was actually based on Ginsburg? Did you know that? Yeah, it's crazy. The dean of Harvard Law reportedly invited all of the female law students to dinner at his family home and asked the female law students, including Ginsburg, "Why are you at Harvard Law School, taking the place of a man?" Holy shit, universe! Can you stop keeping her in such a clear story arc right here? Like, she's... Oh my God. When her husband took a job in New York City, that same dean denied Ginsburg's request to complete her 3rd year towards a... What a chode! Holy shit. And now we have, the villain. We have, a first villain in the movie. I give it, seriously, it's already in the works, I'm sure. It's just gold. This is a gold story. So Ginsburg transferred to Columbia and became the first woman to be on 2 major law reviews, the Harvard Law Review and Columbia Law Review. In 1959, she earned her law degree at Columbia and tied for first in her class. Of course she did. Very stable. She's predictable. She's killing it in stability right now. And she's doing pretty good in hotness. The only thing that is kind of demoting her a little bit is her predictability. I don't think the relationship would be exciting. It'd be comfortable, but it wouldn't be exciting. At the start of her legal career, Ginsburg encountered difficulty in finding employment. In 1960, Supreme Court Justice Felix Frankfurter rejected Ginsburg for a clerkship position due to her gender. She was rejected despite a strong recommendation from Albert Martin Sachs, who was a professor and later dean of Harvard Law School. Columbia Law professor Gerald Gunther, that dude's definitely gonna, just based on the context of the story and his name, definitely a misogynist. Gerald Gunther. That's like a double G. I don't know why. That's just like, yeah. Also pushed for Judge Edmund L. Palmieri of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York to hire Ginsburg as a law clerk, threatening to never recommend another Columbia student to Palmieri if he did not give Ginsburg the opportunity, and guaranteeing. Gerald Gunther also pushed for Judge Edmund L. Palmieri of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York to hire Ginsburg as a law clerk. Okay, well, I was dead wrong. Threatening to never recommend another Columbia Law student to Palmieri if he did not give Ginsburg the opportunity, and guaranteeing to provide the judge with a replacement clerk should Ginsburg not succeed. All right, my bad. I'll take the L on that one. Later that year, Ginsburg began her clerkship for Judge Palmieri, and she held the position for 2 years. Okay, see, I said being with her wouldn't be thrilling, but now I'm realizing she's constantly putting up with this shit. And I bet you kind of get sucked into the drama of it when you're her husband too. So okay, she's getting a little hotter. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, getting hotter. From 1961 to 1963, Ginsburg was a research associate and then an associate director of the Columbia Law School project on international procedure. She learned Swedish to co-author a book with Anders Berzelius, so proud of myself for nailing that name, on civil procedure in Sweden. Ginsburg conducted extensive research for her book at Lund University in Sweden. Oh, she went to Sweden for a while. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. You know, some excitement. She's in Sweden. What's she doing there? Ginsburg's time in Sweden and her association with the Swedish Berzelius family of jurists also influenced her thinking on gender equality. Of course, because that's what this movie's all about. She was inspired when she observed the changes in Sweden, where women were 20 to 25% of all law students. So this is a formative experience for her. This is her leaving the country and seeing what the world could be. This is her, like, Lion King, I'm out eating insects phase. One of the judges whom Ginsburg observed for her research was 8 months pregnant and still working. Berzelius' daughter, Norwegian Supreme Court Justice and President of the Norwegian Association for Women's Rights, Karen M. Berzelius, herself a law student when Ginsburg worked with her father, said that by getting close to my family, Ruth realized that one could live in a completely different way, that women could have a different lifestyle and legal position than what they had in the United States. Yeah, spoiler alert, United States kind of... We have a big military. We're getting into something we shouldn't be getting into. Ginsburg's first position as a professor was at Rutgers Law School in 1963. The appointment was not without its drawbacks. Ginsburg was informed that she would be paid less than her male colleagues because she had a husband with a well-paid job. Okay. Come on, mix it up a little bit. Struggle. She's constantly... The poor girl. Oh my God. I guess it's just women everywhere, right? But this is just like every step of the way. Man, what a movie. Kiki. Come on, Kiki. At the time Ginsburg entered academia, she was one of fewer than 20 female law professors in the United States. Are you fucking kidding me? And like discovering misogyny for the first time now. This is bananas. That's so little. That's, man, yeah, hot. Real hot. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, this is definitely a thrilling story. At the time Ginsburg entered academia, she was one of fewer than 20 female law professors in the United States. She was a professor of law, mainly civil procedure, at Rutgers from 1963 to 1972, receiving tenure from the school in 1969. Ooh, you can't go without mentioning the 69 in the Relationship podcast. In 1970, she co-founded the Women's Rights Law Reporter, the first law journal in the U.S. to focus exclusively on women's rights. From 1972 to 1980, she taught law at Columbia Law School, where she became the first tenured woman and co-authored the first law school casebook on sex discrimination. Because who else would be an authority on that but her? That's literally the story of her life. She also spent a year as a fellow of the Center for Advanced Study in the Behavioral Sciences at Stanford University from 1977 to 1978. At his request, she's kind of intimidating, which is a good thing. That's definitely a plus for me. I like a woman that I'm just wildly intimidated by. At his request, Ginsburg administered the oath of office to Vice President Al Gore for a second term during the second inauguration of Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton? I don't know. She was the third woman to administer an inaugural oath of office. Ginsburg is believed to have been the first Supreme Court justice to officiate at a same-sex wedding. Hey! Alright. Good for you. Performing... God, I cannot stop sucking her dick. I can't help it. Ginsburg is believed to have been the first Supreme Court justice to officiate a same-sex wedding, performing on the August 31st, 2013 ceremony of Kennedy Center President Michael Kaiser and John Roberts, a government economist. Sounds like the most boring gay wedding ever. He's an economist, and he works for the Kennedy Center. The wedding colors were probably beige. Early that summer, the court had bolstered same-sex marriage rights in two separate cases. Ginsburg believed the issue being settled led same-sex couples to ask her to officiate, as there was no longer the fear of compromising rulings on the issue. Despite their ideological differences, Ginsburg considered Antonin Scalia her closest colleague on the court. Ew! I don't like that one bit. It's gross. It's like Ellen and George W. Bush. Though we discovered in the blooper reel, the highlight reel, that George W. Bush is actually pretty hot. I don't like that, though, you know? Don't... This reaching across the aisle shit. Antonin Scalia is a scumbag. But again, this is not... How hot is it? Is what we should be talking about. You know what? It does give her some stability. She's not going to get as much flack from the right if she's chilling with Antonin Scalia. I guess. The two justices often dined together and attended the opera. In addition to befriending... Ugh, I hate the opera. She does lose a little bit of hotness for being, like, part of such a proper establishment, because that's not fun. That's a lot of, like, though she really works, right? But she's in, like, the upper echelon of society. She's going to the fucking opera. That's kind of boring. She's killing it in general, but that's definitely a point against her, a demerit. In addition to befriending modern composers, including Tobias Picker, in her spare time, Ginsburg appeared in several operas and non-speaking supernumerary... Oh, she was in the operas. Okay, she's redeeming herself. That's pretty cool. She's like a hardcore fan. She's not doing it to put on airs. She's genuinely into opera. I'm not even going to try to pronounce those operas. Let's call them Die Hard and Lord of the Rings. And spoke lines penned by herself in The Daughter of the Regiment. Oh, I got that one. All right, that one was easy. During 3 interviews in July 2016, Ginsburg criticized presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump, big fucking surprise, telling the New York Times and the Associated Press that she did not want to think about the possibility of a Trump presidency. She joked that she might consider moving to New Zealand. She later apologized for commenting on the presumptive Republican nominee, calling her remarks ill-advised. Yo, fuck you a little bit. That's weak. Yeah, you lose some points there, Ginsburg. I guess it's like part of the job, right? You're a Supreme Court justice. You gotta at least appear to be neutral. Especially if he's the president. I don't know. That just feels bad to me. That's not hot, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. In 2018, Ginsburg expressed her support for the Me Too movement. It would be a big shocker if she didn't. What if she was just took a hard right turn and went totally anti-feminist? Which encourages women to speak up about their experiences with sexual harassment. Yeah, we know. We remember. She told an audience it's about time. For so long, women were silent, thinking there was nothing you could do about it. But now the law is on the side of the women or men who encounter harassment, and that's a good thing. She also reflected on her own experiences with gender discrimination and sexual harassment, including a time when a chemistry professor at Cornell unsuccessfully attempted to trade her exam answers for sex. Yo, she's top of her class. She knows the answers. What a bad pass. Are you fucking kidding? What a dumb move. I mean, what's the you're not going to face repercussions. It's what, the fucking 50s, 60s? I was not paying attention. I bet that just happened to every girl at school back then. And still happens a lot now. But we're not going to... I'm going to stop preaching and stop pandering. I'm pandering real hard right now. A few days after Bader graduated from Cornell, she married Martin... Okay, so yeah, I picked selections, and this is the relationship section now. So we're going to have to repeat some stuff. A few days after Bader graduated from Cornell, she married Martin D. Ginsburg, who later became she became an adult like that. She did it all. An internationally prominent tax attorney. That's not hot. Practicing at Whale, Gottschall, and Manges. Upon her accession to the D.C. Circuit, the couple moved from New York City to Washington, D.C. I prefer New York. God, I just cannot stop sucking New York City. I'm just sucking dick left and right on this episode. Where her husband became a professor of law at Georgetown University Law Center. Their daughter, Jane C. Ginsburg, is a professor at Columbia Law School. Their son, James Stephen Ginsburg, is the founder and president of Cedille Records, a classical music recording company based in Chicago. Oh, he took after his mama. His mama loves opera. Ginsburg was a grandmother of 4. So it sounds like she had an influence on her kids. Which is cool. She was attentive, you know? They looked up to her. Because like I said in the last episode, it is troubling when someone who's like addicted to achievements, they don't have time for their families, I'm trying to say. But she seems, I mean, if their kids are they're that together, and they're both following in her footsteps, she must have had an active hand in raising them. And you know, Supreme Court Justice, what, you meet every so often? That's not so bad. And job security, holy shit. Till death. Gotta get me some of that. I'm gonna go back to school. Drop out again. Anyway. After the birth of their daughter, Ginsburg's husband was diagnosed with testicular cancer. During this period, Ginsburg attended class and took notes for the both of them, typing her husband's dictated papers and caring for their daughter and her sick husband. Ginsburg, wow. Couldn't be more stable. Could not be more stable. We might have our very first perfect 10 here on Marriage Material. We had a 9 for Stalin on hotness. He didn't quite make the cut on hot. I don't know, he wasn't like legendarily hot. I feel like 10 is like almost unachievable. But Ginsburg could not be a better wife and mother, I don't think. During this period, she also made the Harvard Law Review. They celebrated their 56th wedding anniversary on June 23, 2010. Martin Ginsburg died from complications from metastatic cancer on June 27, 2010. You know, so a lot of people, when they're like pretty old and their spouses, like longtime spouses die, they kind of cop out. But Ginsburg, she has shit to do. She's not that person. She's an achiever. And she's got a lot of struggles. She went to Sweden for a while. She's interested in music. She's pretty hot too. She did kind of limp dick with Donald Trump, and she was cool with Antonin Scalia. So that cost her a point, at least, in hotness. She's not going to be a perfect 10. She's hovering around like an 8 for me right now. During this period, she also made the Harvard... Ginsburg was a non-observant Jew, attributing this to gender inequality and Jewish prayer ritual and relating it to her mother's death. However, she said she might have felt differently if she were younger, and she was pleased that Reform and conservative Judaism were becoming more egalitarian in this regard. In March 2015, Ginsburg and Rabbi Lauren Holtzblatz released an essay titled The Heroic and Visionary Women of Passover, an essay highlighting the roles of 5 key women in the saga. The text states, these women had a vision leading out of the darkness shrouding their world. They were women of action, prepared to defy authority to make their vision a reality bathed in the light of day. In addition, she decorated her chambers with an artist's rendering of the Hebrew phrase from Deuteronomy, Zedek, Zedek, Tirdoth. Justice, justice shall you pursue. Man, I just fucking nailed it. Deuteronomy? That's a big word. Corina, no problem. I went to Catholic school. As a reminder of her heritage and professional responsibility. Ginsburg had a collection of lace jabots, something, lace clothes thing from around the world. She said in 2014 she had a particular jabot she wore when issuing her dissents, black with gold embroidery and faceted stones, as well as another she wore when issuing majority opinions, crocheted yellow and cream with crystals, which was a gift from her law clerks. Her favorite jabot, woven with white beads, was from Cape Town, South Africa. In 1999, Ginsburg was diagnosed with colon cancer, the first of her 5 bouts with cancer. Holy fucking shit. That's a lot of cancer. That's frustrating. I would say that's frustrating. Like the first time you're like, woo, no more. Second time you're like, again, I'll do it again. And then third, fourth, and fifth, you're like, this fucking shit. She underwent surgery followed by chemotherapy and radiation therapy. During the process, she did not miss a day on the bench. Fuck yes. That is some hot shit right there. Okay, she's redeeming herself. She might be a 9 in hotness right now, which would put her at, she's still killing it in stability. Because look, she's so fucking stable. She had cancer and she went to work every day. I can't imagine anyone who would be more stable than that. And she supported her husband while he had cancer. Ginsburg was physically weakened by the cancer treatment, and she began working with a personal trainer. Of course she did. God damn it, she's an achiever. Again, you know what? I'm just going to accept it. I'm going to suck Ruth Bader Ginsburg's dick to completion. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep doing it. Brian Johnson, a former Army reservist attached to the U.S. Army Special Forces, trained Ginsburg twice weekly in the Justices Only Gym at the Supreme Court. They had a Justices Only Gym. It's probably just Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Anthony Scalia just like eats Subway in the room next door. Ginsburg saw her physical fitness improve after her first bout with cancer. She was able to complete 20 push-ups. I can't do 20 push-ups in a session before her 80th birthday. Man, she's just making us all look bad. She's so intimidating. She's getting close, too. Nearly a decade after her first bout with cancer, Ginsburg again underwent surgery on February 5th, 2009, this time for pancreatic cancer. That's a bad one. Ginsburg had a tumor that was discovered at an early stage, luckily. She was released from a New York City hospital on February 13th, 2009, and returned to the bench when the Supreme Court went back into session on February 23rd, 2009. After experiencing discomfort while exercising in the Supreme Court gym in November 2014, she had a stent placed in her right coronary artery. That's like it's a thing that expands the blood vessel, or artery. Ginsburg's next hospitalization helped her detect another round of cancer. On November 8, 2018, Ginsburg fell in her office at Supreme Court, fracturing 3 ribs, for which she was hospitalized. She still was at work every day. She still, even while she had 3 fractured ribs and was in the hospital, she was doing 30 push-ups a day and 100 sit-ups. An outpouring of public support followed. They fucking better. I can't imagine a more pristine person. Although the day after her fall, she's getting so close to coming now. I'm sucking her dick so good. Although the day after her fall, Ginsburg's nephew revealed she had already returned to official judicial work after a day of observation. A CT scan of her ribs following her November 8th fall showed cancerous nodules in her lungs. Man, cancer just has it out for her. On November 21st, Ginsburg underwent a left lung lobectomy at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center to remove the nodules. She had 1 lung, and I bet she could still outblow everyone. For the first time since joining the court more than 25 years earlier, Ginsburg missed oral argument on January 7, 2019. Yeah, she had one lung. She returned to the Supreme Court on February 15, 2019 to participate in a private conference with other justices and her first appearance at the court since her cancer surgery in December 2018. She's in her 80s at this point. Jesus Christ. Months later, in 2019, the Supreme Court announced that Ginsburg had recently completed 3 weeks of focused radiation treatment to ablate a tumor found in her pancreas over this. Her pancreas again? Jesus. By January 2020, Ginsburg was cancer-free. Of course, we all know that won't last. By February 2020, the cancer had returned, but this news was not released to the public. However, by May 2020, Ginsburg was once again receiving treatment for a recurrence of cancer. She reiterated her position that she would remain a member of the court as long as I can do the job full steam, adding that she remained fully able to do so. All right. That's all the selections I had for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Without further ado, let's do the rating. Hotness. Really good. Really fucking good. She's strong. She's fierce. She had a fun little phase in Sweden. She's super into music. She was in operas. That's pretty cool. Overall, pretty cool gal. She did kind of limp dick with Antonin Scalia and with Donald Trump. So she definitely can't be a perfect 10 there. I'm going to give her a 9. A 9 on the hotness scale. And we're going to stability. Stability, legendarily stable. In spite of every single obstacle that was thrown, she achieved everything and was married the whole time. Had some happy kids who followed in her footsteps. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, 10 out of 10 on stability. That's a 19 out of 20 so far. Bonus points. This is what it comes down to. How many bonus points is Kiki gonna get? Well, she's got a kick-ass movie that we just made today. She beat cancer 5 times. I sucked her dick good today. I'm gonna give her 8 out of 10 bonus points. 8 out of 10 for beating cancer and being in operas and letting me suck her dick. So that gives you 27 out of 30 total, blowing Stalin, Cleopatra, and George W. Bush out of the water. 27 out of 30 points. Wow. So that was the episode, everyone. Be sure to check out the bonus content that I'm either going to put at the end of this clip or in a separate clip. Keep your eyes out. It was with Michael Madsen, the very funny Portland comic. Check him out. And we'll see you. We're going to be releasing episodes every single Monday. So keep an eye. Follow us on Spotify, on iTunes, and subscribe on YouTube. And every Monday we'll have a new episode coming out. I've also got a Twitch stream if anyone is interested. Corina Plays Old Games. I do that every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's just twitch.tv/Corina Plays Old Games. Anywho, that's enough plugs. I hope everyone had fun listening. I had fun doing it. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.